I want you to take a moment and think about the person you've been waking up as every single morning. Most people wake up and immediately reach for their phone, check their messages, and step into a series of predictable reactions. By the time you've finished your coffee, you have already revisited every problem, every stressor, and every limitation from your past. You are essentially living in a biological program. But what if I told you that the moment you decide to break that cycle, you're no longer just a victim of your biology? You become the architect of your own evolution. To truly understand what it means to change your life, you have to first confront the reality of how you have been functioning up until this very moment. People are under the impression that they are thinking new thoughts and making new choices. But if you look at the biology of the brain, the truth is much more sobering. Your brain is a living record of the past. It is a vast library of every person you've met, every trauma you've endured, every success you've celebrated, and every routine you've mastered. These experiences have carved neural pathways into your gray matter so deep that they have become the default setting for your entire existence. When you wake up in the morning and begin your day, you aren't stepping into a new world. You are stepping back into a program. Think about your morning routine. You wake up on the same side of the bed, you go to the bathroom, you check your phone, immediately begin to reconnect with your problems. Those problems are connected to specific people and places at certain times. The moment you remember those problems, you are thinking in the past, because each of those memories has an associated emotion. Perhaps it's stress or anxiety or a sense of lack. The moment you feel that emotion, your body is now in the past. This is the habit of being yourself. It is a state of being where your mind and body are perfectly synced to a version of you that already happened. The time you get in your car, drive to work, you have already rehearsed your entire day based on yesterday's frustrations. You are literally hardwiring your brain to stay the same. The science of neuroplasticity tells us that neurons that fire together wire together. If you keep thinking the same thoughts, they lead to the same choices. Those choices lead to the same behaviors, and those behaviors create the same experiences. These experiences then produce the same emotions, which in turn drive the same thoughts. This cycle creates your personal reality. Most people are waiting for their personal reality to change so they can feel a different way, but the biological law is the opposite. You have to change your personality to change your personal reality. To do that, you have to break the habit of being the you that is defined by the past. Breaking this habit requires you to become greater than your environment. Your environment is comprised of all the triggers that remind you of who you think you are. Your boss, your spouse, your bank account, and even your own reflection in the mirror are all cues that tell your brain to fire the old circuits. If you respond to these cues with the same emotional energy, you are being controlled by the world outside of you. To truly change, you must enter a state where you are no one, nothing, and nowhere. This means you must disconnect from your identification with your body, your gender, your profession, and your problems. You have to move into the realm of pure consciousness, where you are no longer a face or a name, but an observer of the program. When you sit down to change and you feel that urge to get up, check your email, or grab a snack, that is the body trying to take control. The body has been conditioned to be the mind, a trained dog that has been running the show for years. When you finally tell the body to sit still and stay in the present moment, it revolts. It sends signals to the brain saying, uncomfortable, or we'll start tomorrow. If you give in to those urges, you have just reaffirmed the old program. But if you settle the body back down into the present moment, you are retraining the animal. You are asserting that you are the master, not your conditioned responses. This transition is the most difficult work you will ever do because it requires you to step into the unknown. The unknown is the only place where creation can happen. If you are in the known, you are in the past. People avoid the unknown because it feels like a void, a place of uncertainty and lack of control. But that void is actually the doorway to all possibilities. To become the architect of a new reality, you have to be willing to lose your mind, the old, conditioned analytical mind, and create a new one. You have to be so focused on a new vision of your life that you lose track of time and space. When you reach that state of total immersion, your brain begins to fire in new sequences and patterns. You are literally installing the hardware for a new version of yourself. This isn't just a mental exercise, it is a physiological overhaul. You are teaching your body to move out of the survival emotions of the past, shame, guilt, anger, the elevated emotions of the future. You are signaling new genes in new ways. If you can maintain this state of being, even when your environment hasn't changed yet, you have successfully broken the habit. You are no longer defined by what has been. You are defined by what is to come. You are no longer a victim of your biology, but a creator of your destiny. This is the moment where the old self dies and the new reality begins to take shape, not because of some external miracle, because you have finally mastered the inner world of your own mind. The transition from the old self to the new self is not a smooth linear path. It is a journey across a turbulent river of change. When you decide to no longer think the same way, or live by the same predictable emotions, you are essentially stepping off the cliff of the known. For years, you have used the same familiar feelings to reaffirm your identity. Even if those feelings were of suffering, unworthiness, or stress, they were comfortable because they were certain. You knew what to expect from your misery. But the moment you make a different choice, the moment you decide to wake up and not complain, or to stop judging yourself, or to no longer react to that one person who always triggers you, you enter a state of neurological and biological flux. This is the crossing of the river and is the most significant threshold any human being can encounter. Step into this gap between your old reality and your new reality. Your body begins to send frantic signals to your brain. This is because the body, which has been the servant of the old mind for decades, suddenly realizes it is no longer in charge. The absence of the chemical hits it used to get from your daily doses of cortisol and adrenaline. It begins to protest, and it does so by speaking to you in the voice of your own thoughts. It tells you that this is too hard. You don't have what it takes, that it doesn't feel right, or that you should just wait until Monday to start. If you listen to those thoughts as if they are true, you will step right back onto the shore of the old self. If you understand that those thoughts are simply the sound of the old programs breaking apart, you can find the strength to stay in the water. The discomfort you feel in this void is actually the sensation of your old personality dying. People mistake this discomfort for something being wrong, but in reality, it is the only sign that something is finally going right. If you don't feel uncomfortable, you are likely still in the predictable patterns of the past. They're the only place where the new can exist. You cannot create a new future while your feet are still planted in the familiar soil of your history. To truly change, you must be willing to live in that space of uncertainty. You are no longer the person you were, but you haven't yet become the person you are going to be. This is the neutral zone, the fertile ground of the quantum field where all possibilities exist. During this crossing, your nervous system is being rewired. You are literally pulling your energy out of the past and making it available for a new future. This requires a level of awareness that most people never cultivate. It means being the observer of your thoughts rather than being the victim of them. When you are on the river, you have to consciously catch yourself when the old emotions start to surface. You have to say to yourself, I recognize this feeling of lack and I am no longer going to feed it. Every time you do this, you are breaking the energetic to your old reality. You are refusing to be defined by the chemical memories of your past. You are becoming a pioneer of your own consciousness. Process is not for the faint of heart because the environment will constantly try to pull you back. Your family, your friends, and your coworkers are all used to the old version of you. A vested interest in you staying the same because it makes their world predictable. When you start to change, you might face pushback or feel an incredible sense of isolation. It is why you must have a vision of the future that is more real to you than the world you see with your eyes. You have to be so moved by the internal dream that the external reality becomes secondary. You are essentially dreaming with your eyes open, rehearsing a new way of being until it becomes second nature. As you continue to move through the river, you will notice that the old triggers start to lose their power. The things that used to make you angry now just seem like background noise. Thoughts that used to paralyze you with fear now seem like distant echoes. This is evidence that you are reaching the other side. You are building a new neurological bridge. The body is beginning to follow the mind into a new state of being. You are moving from the old state of survival, where you are always looking for the next threat, into a state of creation, where you are looking for the next opportunity to express your greatness. Staying in the river until you reach the other side is an act of supreme will. It is the triumph of the spirit over the flesh. It is the moment you stop being a program and start being a creator. When you finally step onto the other shore, you won't be the same person who started the journey. You will have a different brain, a different body, and a different energy. You will look back at the old self and realize that the person who lived that life was a stranger. You have successfully navigated the transition from a life defined by memory to a life defined by vision. You have proven that the mind has the power to reshape the very fabric of your existence, provided you are brave enough to let go of what was to make room for what can be. To understand how to truly change your reality, you must come to terms with the fact that your body has become the mind, a profound biological trap that keeps most people tethered to a life they no longer enjoy. For years, you have practiced certain thoughts, and those thoughts have led to specific feelings. Because you have repeated this cycle thousands of times, you have conditioned your body to memorize those emotional states better than your conscious mind ever could. Think about it. When you feel a sense of guilt, frustration, or unworthiness, you don't have to think about how to do it. Your body knows how to produce the chemical cocktail of that emotion automatically. At this point, your body is literally living in the past because the emotions it is experiencing are records of previous experiences. If you are waiting for a new job to feel empowered or a new relationship to feel loved, you are still operating in a model of cause and effect. You are waiting for something outside of you to change how you feel inside of you. The problem with this approach is that if your body is conditioned to a state of lack, it will continue to signal the same genes in the same way, creating the same physical reality. Your body is so objective that it does not know the difference between an emotion created by an external experience and an emotion you create by thought alone. If you sit in a chair and relive a trauma from 10 years ago, your body is producing the same stress chemicals as if the event were happening right now. It is stuck in a time loop. To change your life, you have to break this loop by teaching your body emotionally what your future will feel like before it manifests. You have to be able to feel the gratitude of a healed body before the healing occurs. You have to feel the abundance of a wealthy life before the money appears in your bank account. This is the moment you move from being a victim of your circumstances to being the creator of your life. When you begin to elevate your emotional state, you are essentially signaling new genes. Genes are not our destiny. They are templates that are switched on or off by the environment. If you live in the same stress every day, you are providing a toxic environment for your cells and your body will eventually break down. But when you start to embody emotions like joy, inspiration, appreciation, you are sending a new chemical signal to your DNA. You are literally telling your body that the future you desire has already happened. This is why you cannot wait for the physical world to catch up before you change your inner state. If you wait, a servant to the three-dimensional reality. But if you can master your internal feeling regardless of what is happening in your external world, you are mastering your destiny. Find this incredibly difficult because they are addicted to their own emotions. We use the people and problems in our lives to reaffirm our emotional addictions. We use our enemies to feel anger and our failures to feel pity. Body craves these chemical hits because they are familiar. When you decide to stop that cycle, the body goes through a literal withdrawal process. It will scream for the old chemicals, tell you that you are being delusional or that you are wasting your time. But this is exactly where the work lies. You have to be the master of the body. You have to settle it back down into the present moment and insist that it feel the elevated emotion you have chosen. You are moving from the old state of being, where the body is the master, to a new state of being where the mind is the master. Requires a total shift in how you perceive time. In the old model, you are a slave to the past. In the new model, you are pulling the future into the present. Every time you consciously choose an elevated emotion over a survival emotion, pulling energy out of the past and putting it into the quantum field, you are becoming a magnet for a new reality. If you can maintain this state of being throughout your day, even when things go wrong, you are proving that you are greater than your environment. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are commanding it. You are showing your body that the new life is already here. And because the body is the mind, begin to reorganize its biology to match that new reality. This is how spontaneous remissions happen, and it is how lucky breaks find their way to you. You are no longer chasing your life. You are allowing your life to find you because you have finally matched the frequency of your vision with the chemistry of your body. You are no longer just a person. You are a walking, breathing manifestation of a new possibility. This is the science of changing the body to change the world. To truly master the science of changing your reality, you must understand the vital importance of internal harmony, specifically the state of heart-brain coherence. Live our lives in a constant state of emergency. We are perpetually stressed, rushed, and overwhelmed, which keeps us locked in a state of high beta brainwave activity. In this state, the brain is fragmented and disordered, firing like a lightning storm in a dozen different directions at once. When your brain is incoherent, you are incoherent. At the same time, because you are living in survival mode, your heart rhythm becomes jagged and irregular. You are essentially driving your car with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake. This internal chaos creates a massive energetic drain, leaving you with no power to create a new future because all your energy is being used to survive the perceived threats of the present. The heart is the center of your creative power, possessing an electromagnetic field that is significantly more powerful than that of the brain. When you begin to shift your focus away from your problems and toward elevated emotions such as gratitude, compassion, or appreciation, your heart begins to beat in a consistent, rhythmic, and orderly fashion. This is known as heart coherence. As the heart moves into this state, it begins to send a signal to the brain, specifically to the executive centers of the frontal lobe. Signal acts as a command telling the brain that it is safe to create, to imagine, and to move out of the defensive posture of the past. Suddenly, the brain waves begin to synchronize. You move from the scattered high beta state into the alpha and theta states, where the subconscious mind becomes accessible and the nervous system enters a state of profound repair and receptivity. In this state of coherence, you are no longer a divided house. Your thoughts and your feelings are finally aligned. People try to change their lives by thinking a positive thought while feeling a negative emotion. They say they want abundance while their heart is radiating the frequency of lack. This creates a mixed signal that the quantum field simply cannot respond to. It's like trying to tune into a radio station while moving the dial back and forth between two different frequencies. All you get is static. But when you create heart-brain coherence, you are broadcasting a clear, unwavering signal into the field. Have a clear intention in your mind, and you have a corresponding elevated emotion in your heart. This is the union of the masculine and feminine energies within you. The thought is the electrical charge that sends the signal out. Feeling is the magnetic charge that draws the experience back to you. When you are coherent, you become a magnet for a new reality. You are no longer trying to make things happen through force or struggle. Instead, you are vibrating at the frequency of your desired outcome. This is why gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. In our old way of thinking, we wait for something good to happen before we feel grateful. But in the quantum model of reality, you give thanks before the event occurs. When you feel gratitude in your heart, your body and your energy field believe that the event has already happened. You are signaling to the universe that you have already received your blessing. Laws of physics dictate that the external reality must eventually reorganize itself to match that internal state. You are essentially collapsing the space-time gap between where you are and where you want to be. Maintaining the state of coherence is a skill that must be practiced every day. It is not enough to feel inspired for 5 minutes in the morning and then spend the rest of the day in a state of road rage or resentment. If you do that, you are losing your signal. You have to be able to maintain your heart center even when the world around you is in chaos. This is the true meaning of being the world, but not of it. You are no longer a victim of the fluctuations of your environment because your internal state is more stable than the external world. As you get better at this, you will notice that your physical health begins to improve, your sleep becomes deeper, and your mind becomes sharper. Your immune system actually strengthens when you are in a state of heart coherence because you are no longer wasting energy on the stress response. The beauty of this science is that it is measurable. We can see the shift in brain scans and heart rate variability patterns. We know that when a person moves into this state, they are accessing a level of intelligence that is far greater than their individual ego, or tapping into the universal field of information. You start to have moments, intuitive hits, and a sense of deep inner peace that is not dependent on anything outside of you. You realize that the power to change your life was never in the hands of your boss, your partner, or the government. It was always in your ability to master the relationship between your heart and your mind. By practicing this daily, you are not just changing your mood, you are changing your biology, your energy, and ultimately the very fabric of the life you are living. You are becoming a conscious participant in the evolution of your own soul. To grasp the true magnitude of your power, you must understand your relationship with the quantum field, that invisible web of energy and information that exists beyond this three-dimensional space and time. In this Newtonian world, we are taught to focus only on what we can see, smell, touch, and taste. Believe that for something to be real, it must be material. But the quantum reality tells a different story. It tells us that the physical world is actually made up of 99.9999% nothing, or more accurately, it is made up of energy and frequency. Every potential version of your life, from the most successful to the most healed, already exists in this field as a signature of electromagnetic frequency. There's a version of you that is already healthy, a version of you that is already wealthy, a version that is already free. These are not just fantasies, they are mathematical possibilities in the quantum field waiting for an observer to claim them. The bridge between you and these possibilities is your own electromagnetic signature. Thought you think sends an electrical charge out into the field, and every emotion you feel creates a magnetic charge that draws experiences back to you. Together, they form your state of being. If you wake up every day and broadcast the same energy of, I don't have enough, I am tired, or I am worried about the future, you are essentially telling the quantum field to give you more of the same. The field is completely objective, not judge what you ask for. It simply reflects your frequency back to you. If your frequency is one of lack, you will continue to meet experiences that validate that lack. This is why you cannot change your life while maintaining the same energy. You have to change the broadcast. You have to match the frequency of the reality you want to experience before it can manifest in your physical world. Entering the quantum field requires you to move beyond your senses. As long as you are focused on your body, pain, the people in your life, and the clock on the wall, you are tied to this material dimension. To connect with the field of all possibilities, you have to become no body, no one, no thing, nowhere, time. You have to take your attention off the physical world and place it on the void of pure consciousness. It is in this stillness, where you are simply an awareness in an infinite space, that you gain access to the control room of your reality. When you are in this state, you are no longer trying to do anything in the physical sense. You are not trying to work harder or hustle to get what you want. Instead, you are intending and feeling, selecting the possibility from the quantum field and bringing it into your experience through the power of your focus. When you marry a clear intention, a specific thought of what you want, with an elevated emotion like joy or awe, you create a ripple in the field. This is not a passive process. It is a highly active state of creation. You are essentially collapsing the wave function. In quantum physics, an electron exists as a wave of probability until an observer looks at it, point it becomes a particle. Your life works the same way. Your future is a wave of probability until you observe it with enough emotional intensity to turn it into a physical event. The key is that you must be able to hold that frequency longer than the environment's ability to pull you out of it. If you can stay in that state of having already received your dream, the quantum field has no choice but to organize itself to meet you. Have to figure out how is the job of the higher intelligence of the field. Your job is simply to provide the frequency. As you begin to play in this field, you will start to notice what we call synchronicities. These are those strange, beautiful coincidences that seem to come out of nowhere. You think of a person and they call you, you need a resource, and it suddenly appears you have an idea and the perfect partner presents themselves. These are not accidents. Feedback from the field telling you that your energy is aligned. They are signs that you are no longer pushing against the world, but are instead allowing the world to respond to you. When you see these signs, it's an invitation to go even deeper, to trust the process even more. You begin to realize that you are not a small, insignificant speck in a cold universe, but a powerful co-creator who is constantly in dialogue with an infinite field of intelligence. It requires a radical departure from the way we were raised. We were taught to be realistic, which is really just a polite way of saying we should stay within the boundaries of the past. To be a quantum creator, you have to be unrealistic. You have to believe in a reality that you cannot yet see with your eyes, and you have to feel it so deeply that your nervous system accepts it as truth. This is the ultimate test of faith. The ability to stand in the middle of a difficult situation and still radiate the energy of victory. When you can do that, you have mastered the secret of the universe. You are no longer waiting for the world to change so you can be happy. You are being happy so the world can change. You are the source, the center, and the sovereign of your own existence, dancing with the infinite possibilities of the quantum field to weave a life that is nothing short of miraculous. To truly step into a new reality, confront the greatest obstacle in your path, your own environment. Most people are unaware that they are essentially an extension of their surroundings. From the moment you wake up, your environment begins to pull your strings. You look at the same objects, you drag the same route to a job you may not like, you interact with the same people who trigger the same emotional reactions, and you perform the same task with robotic precision. Outer world is so familiar and so dominant that it constantly reaffirms your old personality. Every person you meet and every place you go has an emotional charge associated with it. And because your brain is a record of the past, your environment is constantly reminding you of who you think you are. If you allow your environment to dictate how you think and feel, then your environment is controlling your life. You are a victim of your circumstances rather than a creator of your destiny. To change is to be greater than your environment. It means that your inner world of thought and feeling must become more real to you than the outer world of people, places, and things. This is a monumental shift in consciousness. Requires you to maintain a state of being that is independent of what is happening around you. If you can stay in a state of joy while stuck in traffic, or remain in a state of peace while someone is shouting at you, or stay in a state of abundance while looking at a small bank account balance, you have achieved a level of mastery that most people never find. You have broken the bond between your internal chemistry and the external world. You are no longer a reactionary being. Become an intentional being. You are no longer a leaf being blown by the wind of circumstance. You become the wind itself. This struggle against the environment is why so many people fail at change in their lives. Start their morning with a great intention, but the moment they step into the kitchen and see a pile of dirty dishes or receive a stressful text message, they lose their state of being. They fall back into the old habit of reacting. They allow the outer world to signal their brain to fire the old circuits and their body to produce the old chemicals. In that moment, they have returned to the past. To prevent this, develop a level of awareness that is so sharp it can catch a thought or a feeling before it takes hold. You have to be the gatekeeper of your own mind. You have to realize that when you react to your environment, you are giving your power away. You are essentially saying that this person or this situation has control over how you feel. By refusing to react, you reclaim your energy. You keep your power within your own field, and that energy is what you use to build your new future. Think about the great leaders and visionaries of history. They all had one thing in common: they possessed a vision that was far more powerful than their current environment. When people told them it was impossible, or when they faced extreme hardship and failure, they didn't look at their environment for validation. They looked inward. They kept their eyes on the prize and their hearts in the future. They lived in that future so completely that their environment eventually had to change to match their internal vision. It is the law of life. The world does not change through force. It changes through a change in frequency. When you change your internal frequency and hold it steady, the people, places, and opportunities in your life begin to shift. Who no longer match your vibration will drift away, and new people who align with your new state of being will naturally appear. Process requires you to stop being a somebody in this environment and become nobody. When you can detach from your identity as a parent, an employee, a citizen, or a victim, you move into a state of pure potentiality. You are no longer tied to the grid of your old life. You are in the void, and from that void, you can begin to broadcast a new signature. This is why meditation is so vital. It is the time where you purposely shut out the environment. Close your eyes to the world so you can see your vision. You quiet the sounds around you so you can hear your inner voice. You still the body so it stops reacting to the clock and the calendar. In that stillness, you are training yourself to be greater than the three-dimensional world. When you emerge from that inner work and step back into your daily life, the challenge is to bring that new state of being with you. Walk through your old environment as a new person. This is the true test of your transformation. Can you walk into that same office, see that same boss, and still feel the gratitude you felt during your meditation? If you can, you are truly changing. You are signaling to the quantum field that you are ready for a new experience. You are no longer waiting for the environment to give you a reason to be happy. You are bringing your happiness to the environment. When you master this, you realize that you are not a product of your world, but that your world is a product of you. You are the source of the light that creates the shadows of your reality, and by changing the source, you change the entire landscape of your existence. The secret to collapsing time and bringing your future into the present moment lies in the profound practice of mental rehearsal. For most people, the mind is a runaway train, constantly rehearsing the worst case scenarios, reliving past embarrassments, or bracing for future failures. This is a form of negative mental rehearsal that conditions the body to remain in a state of survival. But when you understand the science of the brain, you realize that you can use this exact same mechanism to install the neurological hardware of your new life before it ever happens in the physical world. The brain is an incredibly sophisticated instrument. It has one specific limitation that we can use to our absolute advantage. It does not know the difference between an actual external experience and an internal experience created through the power of thought and emotion. When you close your eyes and truly immerse yourself in a new way of being, you are not just daydreaming, you are literally changing your biology. As you sit in stillness and begin to mentally rehearse a new behavior, a new choice, or a new way of living, you start to fire and wire neural circuits. If you do this with enough focus and intensity, the brain begins to look like the experience has already occurred. You are essentially priming the pump of your nervous system. For instance, if you are rehearsing being a confident public speaker or a successful entrepreneur and you visualize the actions you would take and the words you would say, your frontal lobe begins to map out those new pathways. The real magic happens when you add the emotional component. If you can feel the pride, the joy, and the immense gratitude of that success while you are still sitting in your chair, your body begins to accept that the future is now. You are moving from a state of thinking to a state of being. By the time you open your eyes, you are no longer the person who sat down. You are a different person neurologically, chemically, and energetically. This practice is far more than positive thinking, a total physiological reorganization. When you rehearse your future every day, you are making it more real to your brain than your past. Most people wake up and the first thing they do is remember their past, which means they are priming their brain to repeat it. But when you engage in mental rehearsal, you are using the brain as a map to the future. You are becoming the architect of your own evolution, are deciding which circuits you want to fire and which ones you want to let prune away through disuse. You are choosing to silence the voices of doubt and insecurity by drowning them out with the frequency of your new vision. You are essentially telling your body that it is time to move out of the old neighborhood and into a new mansion of possibility. The beauty of this process is that once the hardware is installed in the brain, the behavior begins to follow naturally. You don't have to struggle to be confident or work hard to be patient. You simply are those things because the neurological pathways are already there to support it. It becomes your new default setting. This is how you bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. You are no longer waiting for the experience to teach you how to feel. You are teaching your body how to feel so that the experience is drawn to you. You are creating a template in the quantum field that the material world must eventually fill. You are becoming a walking, breathing example of your own internal work, and the results will begin to show up in your life in ways that seem like miracles are actually just the laws of physics in action. To master this, you must be willing to give up the old self's addiction to the analytical mind. Analytical mind is the part of you that wants to know how and when, where. It wants to compare your inner vision to your current reality and point out all the reasons why it won't work. But the analytical mind only knows the past. To create something truly new, you have to move beyond that limited perspective and trust the intelligence that created the brain in the first place. You have to be so certain of your internal vision that you are willing to ignore the evidence of your senses. If your eyes tell you that you are broke, but your heart tells you that you are abundant, you must choose to believe the heart. This is the ultimate act of faith, and it is the only way to break the chains of a predictable life. When you commit to this daily rehearsal, you are essentially rehearsing for your life. You are getting ready for the stage of your new reality. Every time you catch yourself slipping back into an old thought and you consciously redirect it back to your vision, you are winning. You are asserting your dominance over your own biology. You are proving that you are the master of your attention, and where you place your attention is where you place your energy. If your energy is consistently placed on your future is where you will eventually live. You are literally pulling yourself through time, moving closer and closer to that version of yourself that already exists in the quantum field. You are becoming a pioneer of human potential, demonstrating that the mind is not just a tool for processing the world, but a divine instrument for creating it. So as you step back into the world outside these walls, I want you to ask yourself one final question. Are you going to be defined by a vision of your future, or are you going to continue to live by the memories of your past? You now understand that your thoughts have a direct connection to your biology, your chemistry, and the very fabric of your reality. You have the scientific blueprint to move from a state of survival into a state of creation. You know that the discomfort you feel in the unknown is not a signal to stop, but the actual sensation of your old self dissolving to make way for the new. The journey of transformation is not about waiting for a miracle to happen to you. It is about becoming the miracle. It is about waking up every single day and refusing to be the same person who went to sleep. It is about mastering your heart, your mind, energy until your internal state is so powerful that the external world has no choice but to bow to your vision. When you change your mind, you change your energy. And when you change your energy, you change your life. Live as if your prayers have already been answered. Walk with the posture of the person you are becoming. Speak with the voice of the version of you that is already healed, already free, and already whole. The quantum field is waiting for your signature. The only thing left to do is to decide once and for all that you are no longer a victim of your past, but the deliberate architect of your destiny. This is your life, this is your mind, and this is your reality. It's time to step into the greatness that has been waiting for you all along.